So I've now let this set overnight. It's rock solid, and I've done exactly 6 layers of this matting. I think it's going to be super strong for what I need, due to the fact that, like, underneath you would have seen that I had that steel bit of flat bar here, and there's one up here, and all this here has got a nice rounded taper, so you know, be fairly strong, as well as it's going to be supported, I guess, up here, as well as, you know, in all these angles. These edges here are going to be holding the strength, so it shouldn't bounce inside that electrics tray. So I'm pretty happy with that. I've just got to obviously get it off and do the trim all the way around the edge. If there's any parts where I think that, you know, I'd like to just address a little bit more, I can always add a little bit of fiberglass. That's the beauty of fiberglass. You can always cut it off, change it, add to it, and it's awesome like that. Same with steel, I guess. Timber, it's a little bit harder, but it can be done. With all those infill pieces that I used to add the strength while I was laying the glass, like those bits of high density polyethylene plastic, there's 3 of them. You don't have to use that plastic, I just have it. It's easy to cut, it's easy to shape, but you can use timber, even I suppose heavy duty cardboard. It's just there for support for this actual fiberglass when I'm laying it down. So one thing I didn't do when I was laying this fiberglass down prior to doing it, I didn't put any wax in. I have absolutely no wax underneath that. It is just pretty much the fiberglass, as you can see, sitting on top of this packing wrap. It's a good test to see if it's going to stick to it or not. I have done this in the past and it pretty much just peels off. As long as you've got a little bit of flex like that, it should come up and it should be no problem whatsoever. But this is a fairly decent size seat, so let's see if we can get it off easily. So I've just put the seat pan back on again, and what I'm going to do is with this Sharpie, I'm going to go along the bottom edge here and just rough cut all the excess off, and then spend some time just trying to get a nice fine line, because that final line that I cut is going to be essentially the edge of the bottom of the seat, so I want that to be nice and neat. So I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to, hang on. So I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to finish this section here off, just purely because once the foam comes up, I've got to keep the fiberglass underneath the foam. I can't have the foam overhanging the fiberglass, which is what I learnt just recently. So what I'll do is I'll just pretty much trim it, just so it's a bit neater, just like this. And then when I work out what I'm going to do, then I'll just fix that section up, but I'll just leave it pretty much overhanging for now, just so that I don't undercut it and then have to add more material to it. The fiberglass is now running the same line of that actual frame. So what I want to do now is refine it a little bit more and just take a little bit more material out of it. The reason for this is because the thickness of this seat is already going to be quite thick, and although it is a Scrambler and it can get away with having quite a fat seat, I just want to keep it in proportion, so taking a little bit more out of this won't hurt due to the fact that I've got about, you know, that much to play with. Because the seat will still go down and over it, even though it won't come down this far, I still want it to hug the top of the frame, but not pretty much. At the moment it's about, I guess, just a little bit further than halfway, and I want to just come up, just probably take another maybe 8mm out of it, 5mm, maybe even 10. I don't know, I'll take about 5mm out of it and come all the way up to here and just go over the top of these shock welds, the shock mount weld here, and then just follow that all the way around. The back section isn't quite level. I had a look at it, I was standing behind it, and it's just not quite perfect. You can see it's scooping up at this side more than that, so I will definitely square that off and get that perfect, because once again the bottom edge of this is where the upholstery starts, so it'll be from the black frame and then the upholstery from there up, so you've got to get this line as close to spot on as you can. To get this line here to follow the frame perfectly, all I did was, it was hard to see from the other angle, so I thought I'd just show it again, was just, yeah, basically put that under there perfectly. I put a clamp on this to pull this down to make sure it was down flush, and then just got my pencil pretty much, got a little bit of block high enough that would actually be the height that I want the pencil mark, and then just ran that around like that, as you can see. And it's pretty simple, and it just follows that line of the frame. So once I cut this fiberglass, it'll be perfectly parallel with the bottom of this frame here.
Ooh, and I feel